Welcome back guys, another day another recap. Today, we'll be diving into the sci-fi action franchise titled Men in Black. Without further ado, make sure to sit back and relax. The first movie kicks off with a man driving a van holding more than 10 passengers in the back. The group eventually stops the vehicle when they are blocked off by Border Patrol. The agents ask him to look in the back of his van, and as they do so and find multiple refugees, a car comes flying into the picture. Out steps a man named K as well as his partner D. The duo begins going through each person one by one until they stop at the last one who cannot understand Spanish. K allows the rest of them to leave and shuts up Border Patrol, who have no authority over him. The duo then decides to walk the last remaining man where no one can see. K then slices up the man's shirt to reveal an alien by the name of Mickey. When asked when exactly he was released from jail, Mickey mentions he is seeking political refuge, only for K and D to mention he broke 7 treaty laws. Just as the Border Patrol from earlier spot the alien, Mickey loses his temper, roaring and raging to kill the Border Patrol agent. K decides he has no other choice but to kill Mickey and literally make him nothing but glue. The agent and his friends are in shock, but K explains to them he has a neuralizer. While his team arrives, he mentions the eye will isolate the electrical impulses in the brain. His team then gets to cleaning all evidence around them, and K gets the Border Patrol agents to stare at his device while he clicks on some Sonys and activates it. Weirdly enough, all the men forget what just happened, and K informs them of a fake story about a gas leak. D, meanwhile, apologizes for his slowness in trying to stop Mickey and tells K he's going to miss the chase just as K presses the neuralizer one more time. Elsewhere, an NYPD agent named Edwards chases a man on foot and watches him do some pretty spectacular moves. Nonetheless, Edwards doesn't give up the chase and gets a ride to finally get a hold of his runner. However, the man seems to be in fear and pulls out a weird device, only to drop it and disintegrate on itself. The man simultaneously does yet another awesome move and pulls a chase, only to literally jump and climb a building. In shock, Edward shoots his way inside the building and sprints upstairs to eventually hold him at gunpoint, only for the man to say that Earth will soon end. Edwards then realizes that the person is not right in the head, but before saying any more, he decides to delete himself forever. Deeper into the night, a man whines and complains about his food when suddenly something falls from space and destroys his car. Out steps a man named Edgar, who, weirdly enough, isn't that surprised. His wife, Beatrice, also follows him out, only to be told to get back in. Edgar then hears a strange voice telling him to drop the weapon, but when he refuses, Edgar is yanked into the ground and appears to be somewhat devoured and have his body stolen by the creature. Inside the house, Edgar asks Beatrice for some sugar and water. After sculling the cup down, the alien goes to fix Edgar's face, which results in Beatrice dropping to the ground in an interrogation room at the cop shop. Edwards cops a mad lecture from his superiors on the stupidity and absurdity of his story, not believing that the person had a weapon that disintegrated, scaled a building with his bare hands, and had multiple sets of eyes. The captain and fellow officer do not believe anything Edwards is saying. A woman named Laurel then approaches to say she believes him but has her memory erased by K. After deactivating the security camera, K explains they were gills, not eyelids, that Edwards saw. He tells Edwards to come with him for a ride, and on the way, he explains his team is part of a bureau that licenses and monitors alien activity on Earth. The duo then arrive at a pawn shop where the owner, Jeeps, greets them both. K decides to hold Jeeps at disintegration point, and when he doesn't confess about the guns, he loses a head. However, in a couple of seconds, it regrows, and this time he presses a button to show all the alien weaponry he has. Remembering the exact weapon that was almost used on him earlier, K calls Jeeps an absolute moron for giving that to an unlicensed alien and orders him to get off Earth immediately. Outside, Edwards tries to take a moment to understand what is going on until K makes him forget his memory. Edward awakens inside a restaurant, very confused about his whereabouts. K then hands him a card with an address and a time to be there before leaving Edward alone. The following day, a pest control worker arrives at Edgar's farm to deal with a cockroach infestation. However, the man is greeted by Edgar, who looks off his face and kills the man the same way he intended to kill the cockroaches. Edgar then attempts to put a weird object in the van, but it does not fit. Later into the day, Edwards arrives at the location given to him earlier and joins a meeting. Zed tells all men there they are the best of the best, whether it be the Army or Navy SEALs. However, only one will receive the job, and Edwards wants to know what the job is. A snob then answers the question after mentioning all his degrees, only for Edwards to run amok on him. No one really likes Edwards' playful manner, but K laughs from behind a hidden mirror just as the first test begins. As the rest of the nerds start doing their work, they all quickly come to the realization that they need something to write on. Edwards then decides to drag the table towards himself, making a deafening noise in the process. The second test then comes to light when all men are told to kill all threats. Edwards only fires one shot, though, and Zed asks why he only fired at the little girl. Edwards mentioned she seemed dangerous as his boys were just working out or were sick. However, little Tiffany was holding quantum physics books and was by herself in the middle of the ghetto. Zed seems quite disoriented by his response and goes directly to K to say he has a problem with authority. Zed then returns to the troops and says there will be an eye exam for the last test, clearly aiming to erase their minds. Edwards is stopped by K, however, who explains in the 1950s the government started an agency to contact aliens, and in 1961 aliens emerged and were intergalactic refugees who remain secret. Edwards asks for the exit, not believing K until they step in the kitchen to see a couple of aliens pouring the coffee. Once outside, K explains there are about 15,000 aliens at a time on Earth, and most of them are decent beings. He then mentions to get the job, Edwards must sever all human contact and no one will know he exists and has until sunrise to think about it. With that, Edwards decides to sit for hours on end just thinking about his decision. The next morning at sunrise, Edwards returns to the base to tell K that he's in. Within seconds, the duo arrive at the main base, which is also an intergalactic airport with various aliens and species around. K takes Edwards to some of their findings. As you'd expect from a guy like Edwards, he hits a floating ball, which goes around the airport and barely misses some heads until it destroys a science room before going back to K. Edwards continues his tour and is introduced to two aliens who watch over a map that gives the exact location of every alien on Earth. This includes Sylvester Stallone, which makes sense when you think about it. Zed then approaches and tells Edwards it's time to put on the last suit he'll ever wear. He is told he must only dress in specially sanctioned MIB services and will eat and live where they tell him. K simultaneously deletes all his records and removes any identity, literally making him as if he was never born. Above the system, he is officially named J and is officially a member of the Men in Black. In the meantime, Edgar takes the pest control van into the city and finds an old man closing shop. Back at headquarters, the agents receive information on an alien unauthorized to leave Earth. The duo head out to the car when Jay realizes it is not standard issue. Back to the old man named Gentle Rosenberg, he arrives at a cafe to meet an arch-alien who immediately tells His Majesty that a bug landed on the planet and he is in danger. Both, obviously aliens, remain seated, unknown to the fact that Edgar approaches them with their food. Rosenberg quickly realizes it though and says they'll never find his planet, which results in the duo being instantly killed and having an item stolen while the cat screams at him. In the meantime, Jay and K find the alien attempting to flee the country. He tells K that the planet isn't safe anymore due to the new arrivals and refuses to say anymore. Afterwards, Jay helps the pregnant women in the car to give birth to an alien baby. K later tells Jay that something is up and he wants to know what. As the duo go for a break though, K spots a newspaper mentioning Beatrice's concern of an alien taking over her husband's body. Both agents immediately arrive at the farmhouse and are greeted by Beatrice. She immediately tells them the story and how her husband was murdered and taken over. Once Beatrice mentions the constant water and sugar Edgar keeps asking for, K has heard enough and erases her memory. Outside, he confirms his theory that a bug has landed on Earth and is a creature of pure carnage. At the morgue, Rosenberg's corpse is taken to Laurel with the cat refusing to leave his side. After beginning the autopsy, Laurel is confused beyond belief and starts recording it for her entry until Jay and K arrive. They quickly have a look at the Archon's body, which Laurel admits to not having seen anything like it. Jay heads off with Laurel to have a look at Rosenberg, but funnily enough, Laurel can't help but mention that she believes the body is not a corpse but a transportation device. After noticing something weird on his ear, the doctor touches it only for his head to begin opening up, which reveals a little alien barely alive. He tells the duo they need to prevent war in the galaxy is on Orion's belt before passing away. Immediately telling K what just happened, they erase the doctor's memory and head off. Their special cleanup teams arrive and are given instructions to clear the scene. The bug, meanwhile, attempts to open the device he stole and when he eventually does, diamonds fall out, only for the bug to scream, "Where is it?" Back at headquarters, the next morning, Zed pulls up the 3 stars on Orion's belt, saying there is no galaxy and Jay heard wrong. K, in the meantime, checks up on a woman and just smiles, but is caught by Jay as he simultaneously deletes the video. Zed quickly calls the duo and mentions that multiple aliens are leaving Earth and they know something which he has yet to figure out. Concurrently, an arch-alien battlecruiser appears, clearly due to one of their royalty dying. Before heading to Rosenberg's shop, Jay is handed a tiny weapon, which he obviously complains about. At Rosenberg's shop, the bug breaks in and goes through the place. It stops when it sees the cat's necklace, and funnily enough, the pest control van is being towed away, to which the bug attempts to stop the driver but is instead put on show. The duo soon arrive at the store and notice nothing has been stolen. Jay hears a gunshot outside, sees the bug, and decides to take a shot but misses. He quickly runs outside and shoots a second time, but it just detaches the van from the tow truck. Once the bug escapes, K tells Jay they do not use their weapons in public, but nonetheless, they have the bug's spaceship thanks to Jay's shooting. At headquarters, though, the 𝐓𝐴 blame the MIB for their majesty's death and demand to deliver the galaxy. The bug, in the meantime, rummages through the streets to learn about the morgue and its whereabouts. Jay and K then make their way to a talking dog named Frank, whom K grabs after shaking him for information. People around start noticing, but Frank tells K that Rosenberg was the guardian of the whole galaxy, which is the best source for subatomic energy in the universe, and if the bugs get it, the 𝐓𝐴 are dead. Some more shaking forces Frank to confess that the galaxy is here and that it is really tiny, like the size of a marble. Once the dog leaves, Jay looks at a cat on the street and realizes what Orion's belt is. At the morgue, the cat strolls around and Laurel notices the galaxy on the cat. Staring into it, she sees hundreds of planets and discovers aliens for the third time in her life. Just then, the bug walks into the morgue to be met by a man. After asking for the cat, the man keeps killing bugs around him, and this causes Edgar to completely lose control. Arriving on the scene, Jay tells K to give him 2 minutes to retrieve the cat, and K agrees, unaware that Laurel is being tossed around inside by the bug. However, when Jay walks in, Laurel is standing alone and tries hinting to him that someone is underneath the sheet. Jay doesn't get it, and it's not long before K enters to spot evidence the bug is inside. The bug, however, reveals itself when the cat emerges and holds Laurel by the neck. As both Jay and K aim their weapons at him, the bug slowly walks backwards and, with the galaxy and Laurel, jumps out the window and onto the street. After hijacking a cab, he forces Laurel to drive him to a location, at which he suddenly swallows Orion's belt. Jay gets right to the chase and looks for the cab until K appears and tells him to get in. Once at command base, K orders a barrier around Manhattan, and no alien is allowed to leave. More problems arise when the arch-alien battleship fires a warning on Earth and gives them 1 hour to deliver the galaxy or be destroyed. Jay, funnily enough, has a good hunch where the bug is planning to leave the planet, and he is spot on as we see the bug arriving at the spaceship. The duo head to the location and take a tunnel. After pressing a button, the car amazingly transforms itself, just like Transformers, and speeds upside down through the tunnel, dodging things in the way. They quickly get out just as the bug throws Laurel in a tree and makes his way inside the ship. Jay finally gets an upgraded weapon and there are only 8 minutes left till Earth's destruction. The bug then turns the ship on before flying away. Passing a baseball game, everyone trips out and, with no alternative, the duo shoot the ship, which eventually causes it to crash land directly in front of them. Out steps the filthy creature, who is told to surrender himself. However, the creature says the humans have already lost. Once he places his hand on his head, his true form comes out to reveal its true self. It immediately swallows the duo's guns, and the filthy creature walks off, only for K to approach it and taunt it enough for it to eat him. Jay then attempts to stall the bug long enough for K to do his job, but he gets slapped and thrown around. The bug eventually gets annoyed and tosses him away, just as Laurel safely falls from the tree. As the creature climbs for the second ship and ignores Jay, Jay begins squishing bugs with his sarcastic-looking face. After killing the bug's cousins and aunties, it angrily approaches him with the intention to kill, but K isn't out of the equation just yet and activates his gun to blow the creature apart, with its goo spilling all over the place. They find the galaxy and immediately inform the 𝐓𝐴. Unbeknownst to the already celebrating duo, the bug emerges again, only to be blown to pieces by Laurel, who tells them they have an interesting job. Back at home base, K allows Jay's request not to wipe Laurel's memory. However, he wants Jay to erase his and finally wants to retire. He explains that from the first moment he saw him, he knew that this young recruit would be fit for the job and wanted to train a replacement, not a partner. After explaining how to use the neuralizer, Jay dons his sunnies and uses the device to make K think he's been in a 35-year coma, but it's good to see he was reunited with the woman he wanted from that long ago. Funnily enough, it seems Laurel has also accepted the role of being an MIB agent, and they ride off just as we zoom out so far to the point where creatures play marbles with our entire universe. If you have enjoyed the recap, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you, we'll see you in the next one.